Do you own anything that makes you feel safe?
Ooh, that's such a good question, Kyle. I mean, do you mean like physically safe or emotionally safe?
However you want to answer it.
All right. I mean, what first came to my head is emotionally safe. I have this large, like a little bit oversized teddy bear that I've had for as long as I can remember and used as a pillow for the vast majority of my life. I do not anymore, but I still have it, and I like having it.
Does it have a name?
When I was a kid, I called it Brownie because it's brown, but I'm not. I was never even at the time particularly married to that.
Yeah.
I just felt like it should have a name, and I couldn't think of anything better.
It's really on the nose.
Yeah. Even at the time, I was like, I don't think this fits.
So funny. Listen, I gotta name you something, all right?
Listen, when you're 18, you can change it.
Welcome to Butter No Parsnips. Every week on Butter No Parsnips, your hosts Kyle Imperator and Emily Moyers take you on an adventure through the weird, wacky, wonderful, and sometimes even wicked world of one wayside word. Strange characters, delightful bits, and general joyousness abound. Join them as they test each other's etymological expertise.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to a special safe episode of Butter No Parsnips. I'm Emily Moyers.
And I'm Kyle Imperator, and safety is the word of the day today, Emily.
Oh.
Do you know what that means? Do you know what safety means?
Are we doing our training video? Oh, that's the word of the day.
It's the word of the day.
Can I have a harder one?
Yeah, I guess so.
I want one that's harder.
Yeah. And we can do a training video on this new word, if that makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Emily, your word today, and I think you actually know this word, so
Ooh.
I've got my hopes high. My word today is Aegis. Aegis. Aegis can also be pronounced Aegis. I prefer Aegis.
I prefer Aegis.
Interesting.
But I run into this problem a lot with the AE thing. Because I remember when I was reading the Golden Compass, in there, everyone's soul is outside of their body. And the word for it is Daemon, which when my mom and I were reading the books, we always pronounced it daemon. Everyone else in the world seems to pronounce it demon. We always thought that didn't make sense because a demon is a very different thing, but whatever.
Or is it?
I've definitely heard or seen this word.
You definitely have. Like, I've been with you when you've seen this word, so.
Hilarious. What does that mean? Does that help me? Can I
don't know.
Use that?
Yeah.
Aegis. Okay, so I have no idea why. I guess just free association because of the AE, but I'm thinking of like flight, like planes or birds, but I know that can't be right.
I mean, I won't say.
I'll never tell. What part of speech is it? I have no idea.
It's a noun.
It's a noun. Is it a countable noun or?
Yes.
Aegises? Agi?
AJ? The plural can be Aegises or Aegides, which is fun.
Oh, well, that means it has to be Greek.
Aegides.
Aegides.
You want it on just one, or you want it on Aegides?
Yeah. Oh, wow. And Aegis is a guardrail on a bridge.
No, it's not.
Okay.
But I love the attempt.
Can I have a hint, Kyle?
Your hint is knight with a K.
Oh, so is an Aegis. I mean, you wouldn't give me a word that's just like a piece of armor, would you? No, you wouldn't do that to me. An Aegis is like a right-hand man, like you're like the guy that's, well, I guess that's a squire. Shoot. An Aegis is a shield.
Emily, you got it.
Did I?
Yeah. Congratulations.
Wait, is it in Hades?
Yep. Yes, it is.
Wow. I'm really glad that I remembered that because, fun fact, you guys, Kyle and I recently discovered that the word chthonic, which I've done on this podcast ages ago, is all up in the game Hades, and Kyle didn't notice.
It's yep.
It's all over. It's everywhere in that game.
And so now I feel like it's even now.
We've closed that loop. Yeah.
We've closed the loop.
Kyle, tell me about Aegis.
Yeah. So specifically, the Aegis is, in Greek and Roman mythology, a shield, a piece of defensive armor, or a garment carried or worn by Zeus and Athena, sometimes Apollo, and their Roman counterparts, Jupiter and Minerva.
And what's Apollo?
Whatever Apollo's Roman counterpart is.
That's very cool. We're doing a Greek gods one?
This is 100% Greek gods, the whole episode.
Love it.
It can also be used to refer to a carved or painted representation of this mythological item, but it is also used figuratively, often in the phrase under the aegis of. So it can mean protection, as in a child held under the aegis of the courts.
Oh!
It can mean guidance, as in a student conducting a study under the aegis of her professor. It can mean the backing or support of someone or something, as an endorsement or a sponsorship, as in an event held under the aegis of a charitable organization. And it can also mean controlling or conditioning influence, as in someone who fell in with the wrong crowd is under the aegis of those bad influences, right?
Those are 4 very cool extensions of this word, and all really distinct.
All very distinct and useful.
But like they still make sense.
And all, for the most part, it's in the phrase under the aegis. You can use it separately, but that phrase really sticks in English.
It feels right. Yeah.
Yeah, feels right. Feels right.
Oh,
We're going to talk very little, actually barely at all, about the figurative use of the word, which is how it's used most in English today. But the literal use of the word is so fascinating that we have to talk about it. We have to.
At the end, when I use it, I'll use it figuratively.
Exactly. So, Emily, the word is borrowed from the Latin Aegis, meaning the aegis of Zeus and Athena.
Yeah.
But it could also, in a transferred sense, refer to a shield or defense or protection. The Latin comes from the ancient Greek Aegis, which referred to that piece of armor of Zeus and Athena, but also meant a goatskin coat or a rushing storm or hurricane.
Oh, okay. So when you said the first one, I was like, sure, I guess like the coat is the shield of the goat. Mm-hmm. A storm, I guess maybe if they had access to modern weather maps, like a hurricane is sort of shield shapes.
Yeah.
You know, if they had like satellite footage in ancient Greece, it would track.
I mean, we don't know. We're not.
It's true. They were very so much knowledge was lost when the library at Alexandria burned.
It really was. The gods themselves had their own weather forecasting, thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So that word has 2 possible roots. The first is the Proto-Indo-European heg, meaning to stir or set in motion.
Like how the hurricane spins.
Exactly. Yep, you got it. The second is the ancient Greek Aix, which meant goat, or especially a she-goat, which ultimately comes from a different Proto-Indo-European heg, meaning goat.
So they just had goat and storm firmly linked.
Right? Goats, storms, what the heck is going on here, right, Emily?
Yeah. Is there an answer?
Yes, of course there is. I wouldn't ask a question that I didn't have an answer to.
Guys,
I'd feel dumb.
Kyle's so good at this podcast.
So, Emily, the confusion probably begins with one of Zeus's epithets. Emily, we've talked about mythological epithets on the podcast before. Can you remind our audience about them?
I would love to. An epithet is sort of like a word you tack on to a name of a god that's like Zeus as he's associated with goats.
literally it. Yep. It focuses on one aspect of their domain of what they encompass, right?
Yeah.
Can you think of any other epithets?
Apollo Lysius is
Lysius,
Apollo associated with wolves or with schools.
Yeah. So in this case, Zeus was given the epithet Aigiokos or Aigidukos, which is often translated as Aegis bearing. But Zeus is not usually seen wielding a shield or wearing a breastplate, which are some of the ways in which the Aegis is typically depicted, right?
Yeah.
He is, though, often shown wielding bolts of lightning.
He is.
Right?
That's his shtick.
That's his whole thing. And so Zeus Aigiokos, or Zeus Aegiokos, may not have literally meant Zeus who wields the Aegis, but Zeus who wields the storms, meaning that the Aegis of Greek myth was originally symbolic of a storm cloud.
Okay.
Right?
I'm with you so far. Was Zeus other times depicted holding goat horns?
No.
Okay.
No.
Where do we get the goat? Okay.
We'll get to the goat association in a bit.
Okay.
But the powers commonly associated with the Aegis as a defensive item track with the fact that it may be related to storms. Many encyclopedia entries relay something along the lines of, when the god shakes it, Mount Ida is wrapped in clouds, the thunder rolls and men are smitten with fear.
Oh, I like the idea of smitten with fear. That's what I hope to evoke.
Yeah. It's what I portray on my dating profiles.
Yes, I am smitten with fear for you.
Yeah. So over time, this protective power became less symbolic and more literal, an object designed by the god of blacksmiths, Hephaestus, who directed the Cyclopes to forge it, and which Virgil describes as a fearsome thing with a surface of gold like scaly snakeskin.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Are snakes gold? Sure.
Well, it was like snakeskin, but with gold. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was, everything had to be gold. It was ancient Greece, right?
It's divine. Yeah. It has to be.
And so it seems that a sort of double meaning developed for Aegis over time because of the association, because of the similar word origins.
With storms or with protection?
No, with storms and with goats.
Oh.
So I think it was originally intended to be just about storms, but because the words were so similar, people were like, oh, but it's about goats too, right?
Sure. It's just like sort of free association.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah. So for example, according to the Roman poet Hyginus, behave, Emily.
What? I didn't hear anything. What are you talking about?
You're not going to say something crude about Hyginus, are you?
Nope. I would never at all.
All right.
Go on.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, according to Hyginus, when Zeus was preparing to take on the Titans in a battle known as the Titanomachy.
Amaki, yep.
Yeah, we did talk about it in
we did, right? Yeah.
So when Zeus was preparing to take on the Titans in the Titanomachy, he was told to bring a shield made of goatskin.
Okay.
And that's the thing that's going to protect you, a shield made of goatskin.
Okay.
Zeus.
Yeah.
Now, Emily, are you familiar with the story of Zeus's birth?
Not Zeus's birth, no.
Whose birth?
I was thinking, I know Zeus gave birth through his forehead. I know that Zeus's, nope, I'm wrong. I know nothing about Zeus's birth.
Say it.
I was thinking about the Titans' birth are from Gaia and Kate something, god of the like primordial god of the sky, and then Gaia is the primordial goddess of the earth.
Yes, you got it. You got it, Emily. You're right on that. You're right on that. So Zeus was the last of 6 children born to Rhea and Cronus, the latter of which ate each of their babies for fear of being overthrown, as he did to his father Uranus, which was Gaia's. Gaia and Uranus. Yes.
But like Uranus, there's like a Greek and Roman equivalent. The other one is something with a C. I can't remember what it is.
Caelus.
Caelus. Caelus is what I was trying to get to.
You're not going to make any jokes about Hyginus and Uranus together in the same episode?
No. I don't know
You're
what
not
you're
going to do
talking
it?
about. I don't know what you're talking about, Kyle. You're disgusting.
I'm not. I'm saying I'm just clarifying that you're not going to make any jokes.
I don't know what we're talking about, joking about. There's nothing weird about those names.
So, Emily, Rhea catches Wise and hides baby Zeus in a cave on either Mount Ida or Mount Aegean, Goat Mountain,
Okay.
and gives Cronus a rock swaddled in a blanket instead, which he eats. What a maroon.
What? Maroon. Yeah.
Right? Like, come on.
I think I've heard of like Kronos as like a god eater. I think I've heard that.
Not Kronos. Kronos is a different Greek god. I don't know why they named them so similar. Kronos is Zeus's father.
And a god eater.
Well, yeah, he ate all
his
of Zeus and his
children.
siblings. Yeah.
Well, he didn't eat Zeus. He ate a rock.
Yeah, he ate a rock. I ate a rock. So on this mountain that Rhea hid Zeus, Zeus was nursed by Amalthea, which is an epithet meaning tender or nurturing goddess. And Amalthea was either a nymph who fed Zeus on her goat's milk, or she was the goat herself who fed Zeus her milk. Right?
Sure.
So, when Amalthea dies, Zeus honors her memory in two ways. One, from her crown, he creates the cornucopia, or horn of plenty. Literally,
Like a
cornu, horn, and copia, abundance, which
like,
Americans now associate with Thanksgiving.
and copia like copious. That makes sense.
Like copious, exactly. The other thing that he does to honor Amalthea is that from her skin, he creates the Aegis with 100 tassels of pure gold. Really into gold.
Yeah. Again, you gotta. It's the most noble of metals.
Most noble of gases. So now, Emily, the shield itself may not have originally been made of goatskin. In ancient Greece, shields were big. They were very large and heavy, and they were worn over one shoulder with a strap. The strap may have been made of goatskin, and through metonymy, or the process whereby a thing is referred to by the material it is made of.
Sure.
See episode 54, Foulard. The Aegis came to be known as a goatskin garment. They were just like, oh, it's the Aegis. It's the goatskin thing. And sometimes it was interpreted as the skin of a goat itself, worn over their shoulders. People were like, the Aegis was just a goatskin that protected the gods. Athena can often be seen wearing the Aegis as depicted as a goatskin cloak. If you look up a lot of images of her, she's just wearing like this big, like tasseled frock.
Huh. Like
on
over,
top.
like on the side or like just the front?
Sometimes it's on the side, sometimes it's in the front, and that's how it then ended up being interpreted as a breastplate, as a piece of metal, because it was worn across the front of her. And she wears it as lent to her by her father, so much so that it is more often associated with Athena than it is with Zeus.
Isn't that what it's like, though? You borrow something from your parents and you just keep it for a while, and after so long, you're like, I'm just going to consider this mine now, and hope that they've forgotten that it was theirs.
Yeah. And people are like, oh, it's so retro. Where did you get it? Oh, just picked it up.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Zeus one day is like, isn't that mine?
No. What are you talking about? I've always had this.
I think there's only one Aegis, and that's my Aegis.
You're starting to lose it a little bit, Dad.
I'll kill you.
Oh, well, yeah, that's a risk, huh?
So Athena's penchant for bearing Zeus's Aegis is seen as a symbol of his patronage of and favoritism for her. She is under his Aegis, literally and figuratively.
Very good. Very
good,
fun.
Right? Now, Emily, Amalthea may be the same nanny goat as Aex. Aex, I don't know how to pronounce it, spelled Aex. This goat is the wife of half-man, half-goat Pan. Bad story, Zeus would seduce Aex, who would bear them a child. Cruelly, the child was named Aegipan, which is just Eeks and Pan put together. It's like, I don't know. Yeah, no, of course it's your son. Of course. You know?
Yeah.
And Aegipan would aid Zeus in his battle against the Titans.
Oh, okay. There you go. He reached greater heights.
Eeks may have also been a Gorgon, a serpent-haired monster, as we all know Gorgons to be.
Yeah.
One that Zeus had slain at the beginning of the Titanomachy and made the Aegis out of her skin instead. So the scaly part might have been the fact that it was made out of a Gorgon.
There we go. A Medusa is an example of a Gorgon, right?
Medusa is, in fact, an example of a Gorgon. Probably the most famous example of a Gorgon.
Of all the ones that I know, yeah.
What other Gorgons do you know, Emily?
Demusa, Sedusa.
Sedusa is good.
I barely know.
Really good. That's good. In a lot of cases, there are only 3 Gorgons, and they're all sisters. It's Medusa, Euryale, and Stheno. But also is possibly Eeks. And Eeks may be the same Gorgon that is sometimes claimed to be Medusa's father, but also described to be of indeterminable gender. In quotes, a bearded woman or a man with womanly attributes. But it might be because the relation to billy goats having the beard, you know?
Sure. That all makes sense. Kyle, I thought of another Gorgon that I know.
Oh,
and it's Cecilia from Monsters, Inc.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely... Yeah. Yes, you got it. Yeah. Famous Gorgon.
Famous Gorgon.
The Gorgon is sometimes Medusa herself, though, that is used to make up the Aegis, of whom Athena famously aided Perseus with beheading by lending him her reflective shield, which is possibly the Aegis, allowing him to avoid her terrifying stare.
Right, because it reflects it.
Because it reflects it, yeah.
That is fun. That's a fun tie-in.
Emily, it gets even tie-in-ier. Wait for it. So the word Gorgon comes from the ancient Greek gorgos, meaning grim, fierce, or terrible. So another part of the Aegis mythology, then, is that it is often found bearing the head of a Gorgon, providing both its protective power and the power to frighten men.
That,
men
I feel
smitten with fear.
I've definitely seen. Like, the image of, like, a shield with a Medusa head on the front feels familiar to me. I don't know why.
It's a very popular image in ancient Greek art and culture, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
I mean, it is decidedly badass, so.
It's super badass, and it's like this, it's like a crazy face with fangs and hair and like crazy eyes. It's like such a cool image.
Yeah.
Should we get matching tattoos?
No.
No, but one of us should get this image.
You go ahead. I'll meet you there. Start without me.
So, Emily, in this instance, the tasseled fringe on Athena's Aegis is actually the snakes of the Gorgon. As Virgil describes, the linked serpents and the Gorgon herself upon the goddess's breast, a severed head rolling its eyes.
Rolling its eyes.
Rolling
so
its
sassy.
Eyes. So, Emily, the image of the Gorgon head, or the full body of the Gorgon, is called a Gorgonian, and it's understood to itself be a protective ward used in apotropaic magic.
Apotropaic?
Apotropaic magic.
What does that mean?
Apotropaic is a word meaning intending to ward off evil. It comes from the ancient Greek apo, meaning away, and tropos, meaning turn. Literally to turn away. Right?
Wow.
The symbol of the Gorgonian was used by more than just Athena. For example, in his Iliad, Homer describes the Gorgonian shield of the king Agamemnon, of which thereon was set as a crown the Gorgon, grim of aspect, glaring terribly, and about her were terror and rout.
Wow. It is a very cool image.
It's a badass image. It scared people. That's why they used it.
That's the point. It worked, I bet.
It goes back even further, though, Emily. It's believed that the Gorgonian and Gorgons themselves may have originated from ritualistic masks being worn before they became shields. And those masks may be descended from similar apotropaic devices or apotropaions, depicting the Mesopotamian ogreish monster Humbaba from the Epic of Gilgamesh, who is beheaded by the title character, his head placed in a leather bag, much like Medusa's was.
Wow! That is very cool.
Yes.
And that is like the furthest back you can go.
Yeah, possibly like a goatskin leather.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that crazy how far back that goes?
Wow.
Emily, it gets even better. So discovering the origin of the Aegis was of interest to the ancient Greeks. They were like, we got to find where this came from, right? Herodotus thought he identified the source in ancient Libya, saying, Athene's garments and Aegis were borrowed by the Greeks from the Libyan women, who are dressed in exactly the same way, except that their leather garments are fringed with thongs, not serpents.
Nothing to joke about that one either.
Definitely nothing. No jokes about thongs or Hyginus or Uranus.
Or Uranus.
Not in this episode.
No, not in this one.
Not in this one. But go back a couple episodes.
Subscribe to our Patreon to listen to Buttered Parsnips. Who knows what we get into down there?
More recent speculation, Emily, though, traces the Aegis back even further to a shaggy goatskin hunting bag that bore an image of a face with serpent hair and a terrifying grin. And this bag was called a kursas, and it was used by Hittite priests in the Anatolian region of Mesopotamia for rituals. It was literally to scare people away who didn't recognize the ritual so that they wouldn't see the ritual objects. Yeah.
Wow. This is like a truly ancient thing.
Yeah. Nowadays, though, Aegides are symbolic yet again. They are figurative use, came to English in the 18th century. One of the earlier uses of it is the pupil whose mentor covers him with the Aegis of wisdom.
Nice.
And this use was shortly followed with the more familiar idiom under the Aegis, which is actually a translation from the German unter der Ägide, and that possibly came from the French phrase sous l'égide.
Right, under
Sous
the Aegis.
l'égide. Under the Aegis. Yeah.
Wow.
And many modern protective devices bear the name Aegis, including the Aegis Combat System, an American naval weapons system that uses radar to detect and destroy targets.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, Emily, that's the story of how we have Gales, goats, and Gorgons to thank for protecting us both figuratively and literally.
Beautiful, Kyle. Love that word.
I'm glad you love it. Do you love it enough, Emily, to use Aegis in a sentence?
I think I do, and I've got a sentence cooking. I thought ahead this time, so I've got it already locked and loaded.
Nice.
Kyle, I am but an amateur in the use of this word right now, but you are the master. So I'm hoping that under your aegis, I can correctly use this word.
Literally perfect, Emily. 10 out of 10. Love it. Thank you so much. I hope that I can live up to this standard.
Kyle, you can. This was a super fun episode. I loved all of the history and mythology and so far back history. Kyle, you do your homework in these episodes, you know?
You know, I didn't do my homework in high school, but I'm finally getting around to it now.
There we go. Take that, teachers.
But what they say, all work and no play makes Emily a sad girl. So, do you want to play a game?
I don't want to be sad, so yeah, I do.
Emily, your game today is called UFOs. Unidentified fabled objects.
Ooh.
So, of course, the Aegis isn't the only mythological object out there, right?
Couldn't be.
So for this game, I will describe you the powers of 3 other legendary objects, and you're going to have to guess which ones I'm describing. Okay?
Love it.
And if you need a hint, I'll tell you what kind of an object it is.
Okay.
Your first one. This object emits a blinding light when drawn, and it has a scabbard that prevents the wearer from bleeding.
I mean, I assume it's a sword, but I don't know. I don't recognize the powers.
Think about when it's first drawn. When it's first drawn, it's not from the scabbard that it's first drawn.
Is it Excalibur?
Excalibur, Emily, you got it.
Nice.
Excalibur
Nice.
the name possibly comes from the Old Welsh Caled, meaning hard, and Buch, meaning cleft or crack.
Like it was from, like, no longer in the hard stone?
Well, actually, no. It comes from the Latin caliburnus, caliburn, and it went through French. And the French put an S in front of it, Excalibur. And then when it came back to English, they were like, all right, I guess we'll put an X instead of an S.
Sure.
Why
not?
That's literally
Why
it.
not?
Yeah. Okay, Emily, your next object produces lightning bolts, and when thrown, returns like a boomerang.
Ooh. I mean, I just want to say, like, Zeus's lightning bolt, but it feels like it has to be different than that.
It's different, yeah.
Can I have a hint on this one, too?
It's a hammer.
Thor's hammer?
Do you know the name of Thor's hammer?
Mjolnir?
Mjolnir! You got it, Emily. Nice job.
Thanks.
Mjolnir is possibly, one theory is that it's from a Proto-Indo-European word that I can't pronounce, Meldhin, but means lightning.
I mean, the pronunciation is speculative anyway, because it's Proto-Indo-European.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. All right, your last one, Emily. It's a bit tougher. This object was built with divine aid, and it has the ability to speak and to prophesize.
Is this also a weapon?
This is not a weapon. Would you like me to tell you what type of an item it is?
Yeah.
It's a ship.
Like the Argos? What were the Argonauts on?
Yeah, Emily, you got it. Literally, it's the Argo, is the ship that the
Argo.
Argonauts were on. Yeah. Literally, Argonauts are like traveling on the Argo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job, Emily. You're 3
Nice.
for 3.
It's the only ship I know that's mythological.
Argo comes from the ancient Greek. Well, it's named after the person who built it, Argus. But it comes from the ancient Greek word argos, meaning swift, we think. It's one of the options.
Sure.
Emily, 3 for 3. You are the queen of mythological objects, and for your winning streak here, I bequeath upon you an Aegis, but a figurative Aegis. So.
Sure. Just a figurative. Yeah. But that's all I need. That's all I need from you, Kyle.
Yeah.
And all you need to do out there is to remember that you can watch us on YouTube at Butter No Parsnips, and you can find Butter No Parsnips on other social media, on Facebook and Instagram at Butter No Parsnips Podcast, and on TikTok at Butter No Parsnips. And if you liked today's episode, you can consider giving us a 5-star rating or review wherever you heard us.
And if you really liked today's episode, consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/butternoparsnips. Donating $5 or more gets you exclusive access to Buttered Parsnips, our After Hours podcast, where we'll be talking all about Hyginuses and Uranuses and...
Absolutely. Thanks so much to all of you. You help us make what we make.
And with that, I've been Kyle Imperator.
And I've been Emily Moyers, and this has been Butter No Parsnips.
Butter No Parsnips is produced by Seth Glicksman, Emily Moyers, and myself, Kyle Imperator. The main and accompanying themes were composed by Kyle Imperator.